Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the plug on the end of a cord. Plus, it is Vlogmas day 13. Welcome back to Oak Street Exchange. My name is Laura, and here on YouTube, I'm sharing all of the steps to starting my own small business. I have a booth at an antique store, and sometimes I get old things that I need to clean up and make useful again. This fan still works, but the plug has visible wires. So I actually need to change this before I can sell it. Luckily, it's a really simple process that just requires a few tools. Before we get started, I am not an electrician, so make sure you're comfortable before taking on this project. The first thing you're gonna need is a new plug. These are available at most hardware stores. Now to put this on, we are going to need wire strippers. This tool has wire strippers down here. Some wire strippers do have a place where you can cut the cord. Mine does not, so I have my side cuts. Then you're going to need a screwdriver. Now the bin at the hardware store when you pick up this plug is going to have a sheet with instructions. You can definitely check that out. It's okay if your plug doesn't match exactly. The biggest thing you need to be aware of is that if you have a 2-prong plug, that you get a replacement that has 2 prongs. If this had 3 prongs, I would want to get a 3-prong replacement. Another thing to keep in mind, in case you were worried, this cord and motor has no electric charge. Doesn't store it anywhere, so when we go to do this, we don't have to worry about any electric shock. And once I'm done changing the cord, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I clean this up to be able to sell it. Okay, first step is to cut the original cord. Now this process does make your cord shorter, so you wanna keep as much as possible, but you want it to be a clean cut. You're going to want to separate the wires. All of the plastic surrounding these wires is just insulation. Before we go any further, since this is mostly together, we do want to get this end of the plug onto the cord. You can see the hole there. We actually need to pop out and separate the plug. But you want to look at it and see how it goes together. If you don't use a 6-way screwdriver, this won't affect it. Okay. And we're gonna pull out these little guys. Now we want to put this onto the wire because once we start working on it, it won't be as easy to get there. And at the end, we need to actually slide it up. Everything that we're gonna do is going to be with these 2 wires. The first thing we need to do is actually strip the wire. Wire strippers always tell you the gauge of the wire. I don't know what this is, so I'm just gonna find one. I'm gonna start with 12. Then you pinch down and pull. When you pinch down, it actually crimps the insulation. When I crimp down with the 12, it doesn't actually break that insulation. Moving down to 14, I'm gonna crimp, wiggle it, and pull. And then the insulation is gonna be here, and your exposed wire is there. This one is the exposed wire, and then this one is insulated. We are gonna go ahead and do that to the other side. Now that we know it's a 14 gauge. Crimp down and pull. Okay. So we have our 2 pieces of insulation and we have our 2 exposed wires. You do kind of want them to be even just so it's kind of the same. And we're gonna go from there. Next, we're gonna take one of our prongs, Phillips screwdriver, and you're just gonna loosen this screw just a little bit. And the reason it's just a small amount is because you're actually gonna twist this wire around the screw. The only thing you want to make sure to do in this process is actually twist it around in the same direction that you're going to tighten the screw. So since we are gonna tighten to the right, I'm gonna twist this around the screw to the right. And then you wanna make sure it's all tucked in there and tighten it down. When you tighten it, that kind of holds it in place there. And then we just do the same thing on the other side. So start by loosening that up. And twisting it clockwise around. And then tighten the screw. And then these have little spots where you actually pull the wire through. That puts the wires kind of taking up space in the middle of the cord and will keep everything together. Then we're gonna pull this up. Get our things going together here. You're going to put the screws to the outside. On this particular plug, the screw heads face to the outside as you pull it in. And when you get this far, there's a little notch where they go into place. And then we have to put our insert back in. This will keep your prongs in place. And there you go. A brand new plug. I'm gonna take the stickers off of it so it blends right in. And the only thing left to do is to actually try it. Moment of truth. I could have added an on-off switch to this cord. That is something that you can do, but because I don't know how much someone will actually run this, I'm gonna go ahead and just go with a plug. Now that we know it works, I'm gonna show you how to clean this up. First of all, make sure it's unplugged. If you've been around for a while, you know one of my favorite cleaners is Mr. Clean. I'm gonna use it again on this fan. It is pretty rough. So I'm just gonna do what I can to see how clean I can get it. It is interesting, when I started the antique booth, you just don't realize how much cleaning you're gonna do. I think it's one of the best benefits to people who shop at an antique booth. And that's that we all go thrifting, or I found this at an auction and we clean it up for you. And it's also one of the biggest pieces of advice I got when starting the booth. And that was to make sure I clean everything really well before it goes in the booth, and that I'm at the booth cleaning, dusting, and making sure everything looks good. Because if it sits there for a while and it gets dirty, you can definitely tell when you're there. It's also, so my antique booth is also in an old building, like a lot of antique booths, and that makes a big difference on dust as well. Now I debated trying to take this cage off, but I'm actually going to try and clean it with the cage on. These old fans, the cage on these old fans just isn't very restrictive. I'd say safety features have probably improved. Look how big those openings are. I do try and be more cautious with stuff that has a motor. It's so easy when you have glass or ceramics because you can just throw them in the sink, soak them if you have to, all this stuff. But this having a motor and a cord, it's not really possible. I also always debate how much I should clean something, because when it's vintage, sometimes that dirt really helps like make the look, but someone is going to put this in their house and when they do that, they're going to want it to look fairly clean. I have had this item for a few months and I just haven't found the perfect spot in my booth to put it, but I think I'm gonna try and find a spot during the spring reset. It also has just been so busy getting the booth up and running. I'm officially in my 3rd month at the booth, so I can't say that it's new anymore and I can't put off projects like this. You also wanna be careful when you're doing something like this. Everything here is really old, so you want to make sure it's not sharp. I think I got the front of the blades done. And for this one, I am going to go ahead and clean the cord too. And just like that, this fan is ready to go to the store. Now I just have to decide how much to price it for. Let me know in the comments if this is the type of project that you would like to see more of. And before you go, make sure you take a second to click subscribe. Since this channel is a new project, that is the best way to help me out as I continue to make videos. But that is it for today's project. I'll see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 14.